We are, after all, now among the top 5 economies. No one can dispute that the multiple global shocks that have recently tested our resilience and that India has come through that solidly. The global order is changing before our very eyes with visible shifts in the relative power and influence of countries. Chairperson Shri Puneet Dalmia ji, respected members of the Board of Governors, Director in charge Professor Sanjeev Parashar ji, distinguished faculty, proud parents and families, members of the media, and most importantly, the graduating class of IIM Raipur. I'm truly delighted to join you all on this memorable day. A convocation is a special occasion for those who are graduating and their near and dear. It is certainly a day of achievement, and for all of us, it is also equally a moment of reflection. This is the time when we take stock not just of our personal efforts, but of the larger environment as well. And naturally, our collective thoughts go towards the opportunities and challenges that await us. The graduating class must count itself fortunate because it is part of a generation destined to achieve the goal of Viksit Bharat. You are the beneficiaries of a solid decade of progress and growth. You have gained from access to technology and to information that would have been inconceivable barely a generation ago. And not least, you have grown up in an era of globalization that has connected you very deeply to the rest of the world. Today, India is poised to leapfrog in its journey of development, and your cohort will be amongst those that will lead this effort. Your skill sets will help steer our nation in its quest for prosperity. At the same time, it must be recognized that you are also graduating in a period of unprecedented change. 3 examples stand out in this decade in terms of challenges: the COVID pandemic, conflicts, and climate change. Each of them has impacted our daily lives to an unimaginable degree. The pandemic, in fact, transformed the very manner in which we worked and we lived, holding its own lessons. As for conflicts, their impact on even distant societies have been profound, a testimony to how deep globalization has now become. Where climate change is concerned, the growing frequency of extreme climate events and the steady erosion of our natural habitat pose both short and long-term concerns. The turbulence in the world currently is also structural in many ways. The global order is changing before our very eyes with visible shifts in the relative power and influence of countries. The politics of some societies find it difficult to come to terms with these changes. New developments in technology, in energy, in military capabilities, in connectivity, and in resources, have encouraged risk taking in an increasingly competitive environment. Everything today is being leveraged, if not actually weaponized. The world is then confronted with the prospect of securing itself in an increasingly volatile and unpredictable environment. This has necessitated a larger inclination to hedge, to de-risk, and to diversify, whether it is a business choice or a foreign policy one. Arriving at an optimal mix of equities, exposure, and risks is a far more complex calculus as a result. Friends, for all these anxieties, it must nevertheless be appreciated that the prospects of those graduating today in India are far brighter than before. In fact, there is optimism. There is an optimism in our society that is lacking in many other parts of the world. Now you could ask, why is that? Perhaps because in the last 10 years have been much better, giving rise to the confidence that the next 10 and those beyond will also be. We are, after all, now among the top 5 economies. No one can dispute that the multiple global shocks that have recently tested our resilience, and that India has come through that solidly. We have managed both domestic and external challenges fairly successfully. In fact, more inclusive growth, representative politics, and decisive leadership have created a new foundation from which we can all now harbor higher aspirations. Think about it. We have not only embraced the digital revolution enthusiastically, but actually purposefully applied it to our lives. Even many developed societies have not done so. Maybe it is also the awakening of a can-do spirit among the youth, made more promising by our demography, and not least by widespread awareness of our heritage and of our culture. Indeed, what we are witnessing is the outcome of technology and traditions reinforcing each other. Building national capabilities has become more critical in the light of the global trends that I have mentioned. This is particularly so for large nations. You would note that even in the developed world, the earlier mantras of globalization has now given way to a new awareness about self-reliance. For us in India, this is expressed as Atmanirbhar Bharat. Its value is obvious when it comes to food, health, or energy security, or indeed to national security. We must endeavor to build and secure within our control as much capacities as we can. Obviously, some domains will be more difficult than others. In such cases, the answers lie in reliable, or as Mr. Dalmia said, trusted partnerships and diverse sourcing. But at the end of the day, there is no getting away from building robust national capabilities. It is the most effective way of de-risking and indeed even developing leverage. And it is at the core of our quest for a Viksit Bharat, one for which people like you bear a particular responsibility. Now, nation building is obviously an extremely complex task with many dimensions. But a cross-cutting aspect is the strength and dynamism of our businesses. You will note that in our endeavor to catch up for the lost decades of the past, a crucial initiative is now making it easier to do business. Even that is only possible when the enabling environment is more positive. Creating an infrastructure appropriate for a competitive economy is also a very crucial element. And you can see that when it comes to the development underway of highways, of railways, of ports and airports, of waterways. So the point I wish to stress is that good governance is also equally important, made possible today by digital tools as much as by leadership. Ensuring ease of living has become a continuous exercise of betterment. Friends, access to opportunity has been another area of tremendous progress, be it for small businesses, entrepreneurs, or indeed for startups. Skills, talents, and education are being nurtured, with institutions doubling across the country in the last decade. As for technology, the growth of innovation, increase in entrepreneurship, and enthusiasm for its deployment can combine to strengthen our position. India must and India will make both its numbers and its diversity count. Today's businesses require a sound understanding of the world's complexity. In that sense, your world and mine do intersect substantially. Leave alone those who trade or who invest abroad. Even those at home are now increasingly exposed to external products, partners, and services. It is therefore vital that we understand the approach and behavior of different nations and cultures. I would urge you all to take a deep interest in global happenings. It is not only interesting in itself, but I promise you it will be very rewarding for you professionally. This is an era of a global marketplace. Not just that, it is also an era of a global workforce. And you should be ready for both. In such times, the connect between diplomacy and business only deepens further. Our foreign policy is today focused on expanding market access for Indian producers. Mr. Dalmia ji spoke about the FTAs we have concluded recently. It is also focused on helping to secure resources, technologies, and essential goods. It looks after Indians who may be traveling or Indians who may be living abroad. And especially, it looks after them at moments of difficulty. It promotes brand India. It promotes brand India abroad, so essential to the global perception of us as reliable and trusted partners. At the same time, it draws on the capabilities and achievements of business to assert our national influence and shape opinion. With that in mind, let me share some traits from experience that I believe we hold common to our worlds. To begin with, there are the personal attributes. Personal attributes which I'm sure many of you would readily relate to. Good preparation, sound judgment, and clear goals are the basics of diplomacy as much as they are of business. Negotiating skills may be honed through practice, but are nevertheless built on an ability to gauge the mindset of the other party, how to address difficult situations with complicated options. This is understandably the real test. When presented with competing choices, the yardstick for decision making must be firmly fixed on one's core interest. Harmonizing, prioritizing, and managing choices then naturally fall in place. I can tell you that if India first is your compass, the direction will always be clear. That also enables the confident exercise of preferences where required. Even the preparatory work for such endeavors is worth thinking about. Maximizing decisional space is a prerequisite which should become second nature for all of us. That we have much in common is something that I can confirm from the brief foray into the corporate world. Friends, on such occasions, it is natural for speakers to offer some life advice. Now, I suspect you really don't need it, but still allow me to indulge in that temptation. For me, life is all about being competitive. Competitive by doing your best for your nation, for your community, family, and in a way for yourself. Self-improvement is key to that process, and it requires a continuous willingness to learn. Leadership qualities will develop. It will come naturally as life progresses, but it will reflect your sense of responsibility. So those who volunteer, those who fill the gaps, those who go the extra mile, believe me, you will always have a head start in life. You will all be part of organizations and will lead teams at some stage, in some capacity. And that will require competitiveness to be balanced by consideration. But most of all, never forget that life is all about relationships and friendships. Build them, maintain them, nurture them. They will constantly expand your horizons and improve your networking. You are graduating from an institution that rightly puts a great premium on values and ethics. Don't only take pride from where you have graduated. Your real takeaway should be the spirit that you have imbibed while here. So, my congratulations again to the graduating class of IIM Raipur 2026. I wish you all the very best in life's journey ahead, knowing that you will travel confidently with high ambition and strong commitment. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.